On Deep Space Nine, we all have talents. Kira yells at people and threatens their lives. Odo puts on his detective hat, and O'Brien suffers because it's feature please. A vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
And I wish I could take off my BWC hat personally and be able to just enjoy some Star Trek every now and then. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Your BWC hat?
Bureau of Workmen's Compensation.
I was going to say, that is such an esoteric workplace safety reference that we need to explain it. Like, OSHA's deep enough.
I would say OSHA's deeper than BWC. Boy, this fucking thing going on here. Well, we'll get into it. It.
There's been Trek news since we have had our break and we're observing the universe and maybe going across the unknown and talking about Trek stuff. Skydance merger is done with Paramount, and while there was some leftover shards from the Kurtzman era that has been pushed out as a byway, I think, of New York City Comic Con, which I don't even care to talk about at this point. The first life behind the eyes I think we've seen is that Scott Bakula is genuinely interested in coming back and doing a Enterprise successor show called Star Trek United, where he's the president of the Federation. Have you seen or heard things about this?
I have seen a little bit of chatter, and my Google News feed has been a real mess lately, and it's just dominated by people shitting all over Bloodlines 2.
Yeah, mine too. Which, hey, by the way, we called that ball, did we not?
The whole fucking world called that ball. And I'm about to go into Google and tell it to start excluding it because, it's dead to me. I'm not interested in anything going on there. And I think they did worse than I could have imagined. And it's costing me Star Trek gossip, apparently. But I did see some stuff about it. And here's the thing that I think with any of this kind of, I'd like to be involved in this project. If you remember when they were trying to push, what was the season 3 Picard Captain 7 and 9 over the Enterprise?
I was going to be Star Trek Legacy.
And LeVar Burton was out talking about how great it would be because his daughter was involved in the project, right?
Correct.
And that I don't think that's something that these guys just do willy-nilly. I think those are press junkets with intent, and I think those are concentrated efforts to either focus the group, like to see what the feeling is out there, or it's a legitimate desire by an actor to get more work. So Scott Bakula casually talking about this stuff and name dropping it, I don't think that's off the cuff. I think that's very intentional. And
well, there's more to it than that. There are scripts. I mean, this idea is not just something in someone's head. There have been some attention has been paid to this. Some work has been done. The show's premise is it is in the future after the Romulan War. The Federation exists, and Archer is the president. But there are issues and crises that are threatening its nascent existence. So it's really like a successor to what they did in season 4, explicitly, of Archer having to go out there and bind this alliance of disparate alien races together in common cause. And a lot of the tension apparently is in Archer's kids because he has multiple children by multiple women. He has the primary character was going to be his son by Captain Hernandez. So that canonizes their relationship had carried on after the show. And then she passes away and he remarries and there's a whole thing. And his kids represent the next generation. You're the first children born into the Federation and they're an assistance in helping try to bind this new alliance together through whatever it is the plot of the show would be. Brilliant idea. As someone who, reviewed all of Enterprise with you, this is probably the best kind of successor show you could do, given you can't de-age Archer to do the Romulan War stuff.
I think that all sounds awful. I don't have any interest in any of that whatsoever.
Really? None?
0.0.
The best content of season 4 was Archer finally realizing what his character, Scott Bakula is finally allowed to play a character that seems to make sense out here. He's a diplomat. He's the one. The humans are the ones that are the glue that put this thing together. I get it. They help the Vulcans. They help the Andorians. They help the Tellarites. They all figure out that they should help each other.
We put a lot of time in Enterprise. We watched every episode. We slugged it out through season 2, and season 3 and 4 got good, and we really sung the praise for it because we were a captive audience and we had to watch all of those. And I'm going to say objectively now, as we sit here watching shit that came out right in that same era, Deep Space Nine, which is so much better than Enterprise, that I don't give a fuck, man. Like, season 3 and 4 got good because we were forced to watch it, and I don't regret watching it, and we had some fun with it. But Archer, even at the end, just was not a compelling character compared to these other guys.
Fair point.
The promise of really, like, who was the great characters in Enterprise? T'Pol,
Trip
which
was my favorite character by a lot.
Moops, and Hoshi,
Yeah.
who was never really given an opportunity to spread her wings, and Phlox, who I'm recently furious with again because of your. I'm sorry, no, I'm not mad at Phlox. I'm mad at John Archer. So unless this fucking show that they're trying to pitch for Archer is an entire series dedicated to them apologizing to the planet of women and children and very nice people that they let fall apart due to genetic drift. Like, the whole promise of Enterprise was the Romulan War. And to hear them saying that they're going to go back to the well of Enterprise and not touch the Romulan War, like, I don't care, man. Did you watch Dexter?
I did. I mean, the original series. I never watched any of the shit that followed.
Do you remember how, like, they were doing the flashbacks to his youth and they just took Michael Hall or whatever his name was and just put him in a wig? And you're like...
Yes, a really crappy wig with bangs, yes.
Did it bother you?
No, because they were brief. So, like, if the entire show is going to be a flashback to that, I don't think I can take my, a incompetently de-aged Scott Bakula
really
for an entire show.
Even if it gives you the Romulan War, because I can.
I think if it's okay if you can recap. Like, here's my hot take of all hot takes when it comes to Star Trek. If you want to actually save the franchise and do it the absolute right way, you have to just be willing to go back to the periods that there's the most content to be made, which is absolutely in the thick of the Berman era. You could do a Dominion War show, like, because the Dominion War is so expansive, you could do any number of different kinds of stories that go on with that without touching anything that happened specifically on Deep Space Nine or in the TNG movies that happened during the same time. And you just recast people. You just like, okay, like, I can't get Patrick Stewart to go play Picard when I want him to, like, show up in something. I'm just going to get someone else to play him. And the fact that you used to do this, like, you used to do this all the time. You just recast characters because actors age and they're not in the appropriate time frame to do something that took place 30 years ago anymore. So yeah, like, I agree, in ideal circumstances, you just recast Jonathan Archer with somebody else and you do the Dominion or you do the Romulan War. But the whole point of this, unfortunately, is the only way something like this is going to get made is if you bring in original actors who are willing to add to the star power of the circumstance to do it. That's how Hollywood still works to this day, to my amazement. And so if you're going to get a show off the ground, it has to be with legacy names attached to it. Scott Bakula is a normie famous guy to this day, doing CSI and everything else. And if you want to go somewhere and he's willing to go there with you, this is probably the best you're going to do.
No. Enterprise killed Star Trek. Enterprise was not a good show for a long time, and by the time it got kind of good, it was over. Manny Koto's dead. You say Manny Koto's attached to this project, maybe I might give a shit. But I'm with you that the way to try to reboot Star Trek is with 24th century.
Yes.
All right. I don't need to see the old people. I don't care about those characters anymore. Picard has disabused me of any heartfelt desire to see these guys. Politics, Twitter, people popping off. Like, I'm done with everybody, and I'm willing to see some new Star Trek stories if they're handled the right way. And we've talked at length about what the right way to do these things are.
Oh yeah, you could do a fantastic show of a ship that's deep in the trenches of the Dominion War from basically its origin point to its end point.
I want Dominion War, man. Like, again, I look at how well Orville was able to resonate. I think you can set stuff back in the Rachel Garrett era, the Lost era.
Oh, that too, yeah.
I think you could do some
a completely
Cardassian
unmined era of Star Trek that you could just go in and kind of play with all you want.
Or I think
you could do a Rachel Garrett show. You could do an Enterprise C show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a dark one, but, Archer, sure. I'll take him as a short trek. I'll take him as something where people drop some money like the Kirk treatment just got. But he's not a compelling enough character. The Enterprise story was not compelling enough. If you're not going to do the Romulan War, I'm not interested in any of that shit. And these guys need to come in and give fans what they want. And they want the season 3 forward TNG burgundy top.
They do.
They want stories about people that are not smash cuts jumping all over the place with everybody crying all the time and science is rad. Like, put something cerebral in there, give it a limited budget, dip your toe in, rework it. And I think Lower Decks, the TV show, also showed that you can just have a bullshit ship in the background doing stuff, and it's still like rad Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I am partial to the unexplored vistas of the Dominion War. I think you might be too once you go through it with us. But at the same time, I think I agree with everything you're saying in spirit. There's plenty of territory to use, no matter what it is you choose to do.
I personally think that they have gone too action heavy. And even if the Paramount or the Skydance Paramount is going to be a new Star Trek, you still have all this bad robot secret hideout shit that you have to worm your way past. There's been too many run and guns, too much action. And I think coming in the Dominion War, something in the Dominion War might be good for their next TV show. But I think you just need a classic, happy Star Trek friends in space.
Well, you see, they've already tried to do that, and rather poorly, with Strange New Worlds, unfortunately. And as much as you think like the Dominion War sounds like it's run and gun all the time, obviously we know that's, I don't know, I guess you don't know that's not the case. Like the Dominion War stories, they're very good Star Trek stories. They're very cerebral. There's lots of dialogue, and there's not necessarily a ton of action all the time, because war is more than just the fight. The fight is the end, is the end point of particular conflicts within it. And I think you could have your cake and eat it too. But your point is taken. I disagree in the margins, but for the most part, I see what you're saying.
Also, season 1 of Strange New Worlds was great.
It was.
Friends in Space doing Star Trek stuff is excellent if you don't do it shitty. And that's another thing I think that counts against this Archer show, is that the lion's share of what we got out of New Trek has been Discovery and Strange New Worlds and this early Federation TOS, which Archer's not that far away from.
Correct.
And I think if you're trying to get out of the shadow, you got to go to the 24th century. People don't need to see Picard. People don't need to see Data. But I think people need to see that old 90s uniform. And I think that's what's going to draw people in about like, okay, I'm willing to give this thing a fair shake. But who knows what they're going to do? I mean,
yeah, and a Rachel Garrett like Enterprise C show where they're doing that. And yeah, you might know where that story ends, but the point is, like, you know where Pike's story ends. Like, and it doesn't make that show any less compelling. In fact, you make it part of the plot, and it becomes the best part of the show, and you can work with it in that way. And or you could do a Stargazer show. How about that? Like, you recast Picard as having taken command of the Stargazer after the incident that ultimately kills the captain and it's just the captain or whatever. I think he was the first officer and the pilot or something. I forget. Whole point is there's like 20 years he spends on that ship where he builds his career. There's never been anything about it except books. And you could absolutely put him in those burgundy, jumpsuits and have him out there, doing any number of adventures with all of these people he had as his first command when he was young. And that way you're still using your legacy character, and then you can just reboot from there, and just have so much territory to work with.
You don't want to see them use Commander Remick as how this guy went from being the biggest dickhead in Starfleet, busting everybody's ball, to eating a bug and having his brain dug out while he betrays the Federation as a drone.
I think we could skip some of the season 1 plots. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was a good plot.
There was something else you wanted to talk about.
I wanted to talk about Wolf 359, but we're already 15 minutes in.
Yeah, well, if you were interested in Wolf 359, you can check out our Patreon episode, which will be out by the time you're hearing this normal Deep Space Nine review. We had a great time talking about JTVFX's, YouTube videos, audits, and we also talk a lot about obviously Best of Both Worlds and talking a big, very meta about not just how it all fits into continuity, but just how, it's a fantastic reflection of what was happening in the fictional world of Star Trek at the time, and what a love letter to this thing we all love it really is. And speaking of things we love, what did we watch this week?
We watched Visionary. Season 3, Episode 17, first aired February 27th, 1995. Teleplay by John Shirley, story by Ethan H. Kalk, directed by Reza Badia, and in the universe date is 2371. I looked up the director because we've seen this name a few times now, Reza. Civil Defense, which, GOAT right there.
Absolutely.
Then we got Past Tense Part 1, which is our trip back to the Bell riots.
Correct.
Life Support.
Great episode.
That's where
Vedic Barile gets
assimilated, yep. This one, Visionary, and then the next one's going to be Paradise Lost. So, pretty strong run in terms of getting... This is the anti-LeVar Burton effect here.
Yeah, he only got bangers. And I don't know what... we try to identify directorial voice. I will say, Civil Defense is possibly one of the funniest episodes of Star Trek ever. I think Visionary is also secretly quite funny. A couple very laugh out loud moments as far as I'm concerned.
When he winks at himself after knocking a Klingon out, I thought that was funny as shit, man.
Oh, or just the camera transition of try to be diplomatic and then cut to Kira threatening to shove the Romulans out the airlock.
Yep.
or just the last shot. Hey, Quark. Dabo. He's got good comic timing. He's good.
Very good. Very good. I'm looking because a big part of this episode is going to be the Romulans.
Yes.
So at this point, if I'm to check or trust Google AI, the last couple Romulan episodes and what we know of the Romulans from Next Generation are Birthright Part 1 and 2, which was Season 6, Episodes 17 and 16. And then there was a Timescape out of Season 6. And I think that's the one where there's the warp core breach and Picard's drawing smiley faces in the cloud, right?
Correct.
And then the last one is Season 7, Episode 12, The Pegasus, where they end up along the neutral zone. Birthright obviously being the real meat and potatoes there in terms of where is the Romulan Star Empire roughly around this time.
And we obviously have our content here in Deep Space Nine that we directly reference. We have a treaty that's been signed between the Federation and the Romulans, which is noted as a rare occurrence so that there can be a cloaking device on the Defiant to gather intelligence that they would then share. And the key conceit of the episode is they've shown up to get it. Fair enough, right? This is the bargain that was struck. And in the wake of what happened with the Pegasus, it's probably easy to presume that the Federation is very interested in making nice here, right? They're not trying to be antagonistic towards the Romulans. They did, in fact, breach the Treaty of Algernon and tried to develop a cloaking device and got caught, and Picard outed them for it. And yet, the Romulans were willing to make this deal. Okay, interesting, right? And so there's a delicacy here, and I appreciate overall, this episode's excellent. I think this episode is a perfect example of the creative maturity of the show. Every single one of our major characters does the thing they're supposed to be doing in this episode. No one is left out, right? Julian is doing his medical stuff. Quark is trying to scam everybody. Jadzia is doing the science thing. Kira's threatening people's lives. Sisko's making command decisions. Oh, O'Brien is ultimately both doing technical things and suffering, which is what he's best at too.
Absolutely.
And Odo is a great detective to the point where he brags about it. We get all of those pieces working at the same time that we're paying off our continuity as it relates to things that have happened in this season that we have had direct references to. We are able to tell a very interesting, deep, clandestine Star Trek politics story. That's almost the B plot.
Yep.
Tie in a science fiction, MacGuffin thing to solve for the plot. And then we even have continuity from technical manual level shit to explain what's going on with the plot, and then we tie it up with a bow at the very end of like, this isn't the end of this. This is going to continue on. We're going to build on this. It's perfect. This is a perfect example of why Deep Space Nine is good. This episode would not stand out as anyone's favorite. It's not like it's not, they got that high peaks, right? Like it's not gonna have those big moments, but everything in it works really, really well.
It's part of the lattice.
Yeah.
And it is supporting massive amounts of weight. I love the amount of callback that whatever the episode was where the Defiant gets its ass kicked by the Jem'Hadar.
The Search is part 1 and 2.
Yeah, and like Odo's abandoning ship and leaving everyone behind and dragging Kira with him, and like all of that getting called out.
Yeah, which very reasonably.
We made a huge deal about it. I mean, that was a lot of conversation in that episode was those actions there and how Kira would have felt about that, running away from a fight and being dragged along for all that. So I agree with everything you said. Back to the Romulans, though, for a quick minute. Have they taken any big L's up to this point in since TNG started? I mean,
not up to this point.
Sela took an L.
Well, yeah, I guess like the intervention in the Klingon Civil War didn't go as planned, but they didn't they didn't get fucked up though. Like they got caught, but then they retreated.
But as a
fight,
as a galactic force, as a galactic opposition, I mean, this is really peak of their power, basically, right?
Yeah, they're unblemished as it relates to combat losses.
The Deredics, warbirds are bigger than Galaxy classes, and I believe we've been led to think that they are more than a Galaxy class in terms of combat capability. And they haven't really had a major military engagement recently that they've lost. So these guys are high on their own supply. The idea that they would come in and try to blow up a Federation starbase, I think really jives. Like these guys are ready for a fight and they don't give a fuck. So
this apparently was Ron Moore rewrote some of this to make this make sense, and it's perfect that he did. The fact that they decide, we have assessed the intelligence and we've decided we need to collapse the wormhole, and the only way we're going to do that is if we blow up Deep Space Nine. So I guess that's what we're going to do, and we'll deal with the consequences, is actually quite a reasonable conclusion for the Romulans to draw. Let's face it, especially them.
And that's why I'm setting the stage for where are they at geopolitically and where are they at in terms of warfare capability. That they are looking at themselves as, we are going to be the big kids at the table who are going to do what's necessary. It's exactly what you said about the Obsidian Order on the, not Grilka episode, the Prophecy, right? Is that the name of the episode? Where they set up the subspace communication relay through it, is that the Obsidian Order, it's like, there's fucking monsters over there, man. Like, we've got spies on Deep Space Nine, and every 2 weeks it is bonkers fucking monsters and crazy shit, like your trade routes to sell coffee beans or whatever the fuck's going on out there.
Not worth it.
It's not worth it to anybody. Oh, and now there's a super threat to the Federation, to the entire Alpha Quadrant, that this episode I think is interesting that it calls out as the biggest threat that the Alpha Quadrant's ever faced. Like they're saying that the Dominion is a bigger threat than the Borg.
And I think that is absolutely reasonable and true, especially when I think this is what you're going to bring up about Wolf 359 and possibly this Battle of Sector 001, which we talked about in our Patreon episode. The Borg are a threat. Certainly, they almost assimilated Earth after the Battle of Wolf 359. An unprepared Federation, even with the Klingons, had to basically have the Enterprise pull some plot armor bullshit to win. Okay. Here we are. We're about, 18 months before the Battle of Sector 001. It takes place during season 5 of Deep Space Nine, we'll call it. And the Federation has slowly got their shit together, building new ships, building new technology. By the time the Battle of Sector 001 shows up, 30 to 40 ships is almost enough to blow up the cube. Mind you, Starfleet is thousands of ships. Okay? That probably doesn't seem like as big a threat anymore as, these Jem'Hadar guys, they can just suicide run a Galaxy class vessel and that's over, right? That shit's done for.
That's the important part of this that I had forgotten, was that they just dropped the Odyssey and what that really represents. That was a big miss on my end.
So
other people sitting back and watching it, specifically the Obsidian Order, specifically the Romulans, who the Federation has always been that, for whatever reason, we could just never beat these motherfuckers, and they just got their shit pushed in. Why would we keep this highway to hell open? Absolutely.
Right. Like, seems like a terrible idea strategically. And you know what? To give the Federation credit as to why it is that they can't be real politic enough to do it. Well, they want Bajor in the Federation, and this is literally their holy place. There are aliens in the wormhole. We cannot collapse that. We can't possibly kill them. We can't deny the Bajorans like they're basically the fulfillment of all of their prophecies. That's like against all of our ethics, right? We can't do that. We can't stand here and allow someone else to do it. Like, that's not how we're built. We're a multi-species federation of democratically appointed leaders that value this kind of way of life. And so, yes, like the real politic Romulans and Cardassians are seeing the problem, while the idealistic Federation is like, we got to try to figure out a way through this doesn't involve violence. And that's where the conflict comes in.
I mean, lucky for the plot, you can occasionally portray the Federation as an actual group of good guys. But are the fucking Bajorans way out there really worth all of this hassle without the wormhole in the equation? Boy, I don't know.
Star Trek does require you to accept the Federation is unrealistically idealistic.
Yes.
And that's just that's the buy-in. It has the people in it and the society itself is unrealistically optimistic relative to our position. And that's
there's a conversation to have about like the real damage that all of the crazy badmirals have done to that expectation and buy-in.
Because you have to have villains somehow. You just keep picking the same thing.
Can't always be Tomalak. Great stakes here, and this is a really nice opportunity to see what is the rest of the galactic community thinking about this. But we open up with my favorite scene, and that is, they don't even put the special effects budget in it. It is just O'Brien knocked the fuck out on the ground.
Yeah, and an IED went off.
Yet another situation where someone is working on the computer access panels on ops, and something has blown him up. I think the last time we saw this was probably civil defense. This Reza guy really likes workplace injuries in the nerve center of Deep Space Nine. They don't even give this guy the respect of bringing him into sickbay. He's not worth the emergency transporter energy. He's not worth the fucking stretcher.
They didn't even give him the day off. He's on light duty.
That's what I'm going to get to. They heal him on the floor like he's some fucking animal, field animal. He gets up, and they're like, well, I'm not even going to say, hey, take the rest of the day off. I get a guy who cuts his hand with a box cutter at work. I'm sending him so it doesn't exacerbate this. This dude just took a lethal dose of radiation, and they're like, well, gosh, if we let you go home, then this is going to constitute as a lost time injury, and those really score badly against our BWC experience history, and I don't want to fuck that up, because this is already a bad. They moved us into the retro program. Like, this isn't good.
You're on desk duty. Like, file some stuff for us. Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you right now, guys, I know you came here for a Star Trek podcast, but I will tell you that the way to cheat a lost time injury, is you send the person home so it doesn't get worse. You just pay them out the rest of the day. BWC doesn't score it against you. Everybody's happy. They get their money, and you protect your experience score with the Bureau of Workmen's Comp.
This is vital information for our listeners of like, you're in management in an industrial complex. These are things you need to know.
Listen,
as a fellow manager in an industrial complex, I completely understand.
We have a listener, my friend. She's a vet tech. A cat bit her finger and fucked it up real bad. And she had to go to the ER the infection got so bad. And she's like, gosh. And I'm like, so they paying you out for this? They're letting BWC hit. And she's like, you mean I don't have to use vacation time? I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, girl, you got rights.
Let me use my powers for good for a minute. So if I could help her, I'm willing to help anybody. If you get hurt at work, you should be getting paid out the rest of that goddamn day. Make a big deal out of it.
We've got like 700 people who work, where I work, doing what we do. And it's a heavy industrial process.
Mm-hmm. A lot of poop, a lot of infections.
Seriously. So it turns out when you spend all day working with fecal matter one way or another, that exposure can lead to medical consequences.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, who would have thought? So like, Oh yeah, I've got stories that have scald the soul, which I will not share here. But suffice
Patreon
it to say,
content.
if you want a podcast that is both a steady and funny analysis of Star Trek, but also about the downstream consequences of workplace injury, you have come to the right place. You probably already knew that. We've been doing this for 8 years, but this is where it really comes together. Is the O'Brien storyline.
That is not a joke. That is a very true thing you just said right there.
Yes. I know. It's going to keep happening too, which is hilarious. Like the O'Brien must suffer thing. Like, I will say that this is, I think, the episode where it really crystallizes as a content. He's suffered before, but like it seems almost purpose built this time. You know, he's not a replicant clone. He's not exposed to, I don't know, bioweapons or whatever he's been through before. It seems like now it's like, okay, they've figured out when we need some bad shit to happen to somebody, it should be Miles O'Brien. And Colm Meaney is so good at being just like nonchalant about this stuff. And the way that he reacts to it in character is actually quite fitting considering what he's been through. You know, all of his brushes with death in his career. He's, you know, killed all these Cardassians and he served on the flagship. Like, oh, geez, I'm time displaced while dying of radiation poisoning. It's about what I'm used to.
I'm excited for the episode where they replicate someone's arm or leg or whatever it is, because you made a big deal about that in the Heart of Stone episode.
Do you know how much an eye costs?
Yeah. Right? So like,
yeah,
everything can be fixed. And what that can mean for the beasts of burden that schlep the post-scarcity utopia forward. Like, damn, man, I'm really sorry you got permanently maimed here. Let me replicate you a new leg. Get back out there, buddy. Like the lower decks humor beat here, like I can feel it, and it's starting to put some of the stuff, the jokes that they were doing on that show in a different kind. Like, not that they weren't funny jokes on their own, but like seeing it play
now
out.
You know how deep the reference really is. Yeah.
So them telling him, hey, all right, buddy, we gave you some blinky light and a hypo spray on the fucking dirty ass floor where you work. Don't stress. Nothing over 15 pounds. All right. now get out of here. We got
immediately climbs a ladder. You're like, what the fuck, dude? I just told you not to do that.
There's no stairs out of there. This is not an ADA facility. We did a whole episode specifically.
That's true. It is not an ADA facility, so there is an exemption. You're right.
And I actually just thought, like, you know, why they didn't bring him down to sickbay. I forgot that they can't use the fucking medical gurneys because the anti-grav technology is incompatible with the station construction. Yes. Gee, I hope there's not going to be any major medical events where there's going to be a lot of injured people here.
So there are like 8 people who listen to the show who are really delighting with all of this content.
Well, you and I are 2 of them. So
yes, that's correct.
It's the right people. So they're like, hey, get the fuck out of here. We got some Command Burgundy stuff to do. You just go bleed somewhere else. And there is this Romulan delegation coming out. Unfortunately, we don't get any discussion about whatever happened to Sub-Commander Seska.
Yeah. Yeah, it's politely off screen, presently doing cool shit in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah. That, gosh, what was her name?
I forget. I mean, it's Sub-Commander Seska. It's fine.
Sure. I get why they don't talk about her. I'm sure she had some real raw reports. And I'm in my mind, as they start getting into their questions to the crew, like that's absolutely all stuff she had access to and could have like ratted people out on. But do they show what ship actually docks?
No. They say a ship, the Romulan ship. I assume probably like the scout ship type of looking thing. You know?
So we have abandoned the Next Generation uniform. We have seen the Next Generation uniform on Deep Space Nine in the Thomas Riker episode. It didn't look great.
No.
There's lighting tricks that they were doing in Next Gen that could leave this stuff looking complementary, and that is not happening here. And now we've got other Next Generation costume assets coming into very different lighting conditions. Where you at on the classic 24th century Romulan fucking
toaster cover? Yeah. Listen, the super square shoulders, right? Like is the thing that always just takes me off of these things. It just doesn't make sense for the Romulans. I imagine the Romulans actually in things that are more form-fitting, right? More more functional than these kind of uncomfortable, bulky looking outfits. It never quite worked. It made sense in like the TNG era, whatever. Like it's the
Early
80s,
80s.
but like now they seem very dated and very out of place in a way that most uniforms don't. Like Klingon stuff still feels like it's right. The Federation jumpsuits, while you're not a fan of the shoulder pad jumpsuits, obviously, like they at least work. They seem functional. They seem like a uniform that people would wear. This is now reaching the point of like, really, guys, couldn't just couldn't take a second look at this at this point. Didn't have the budget, I guess. I don't know why we were using this.
I can buy the big shoulder blocky looking thing as like a cloak, like a ceremony, like we've arrived.
Yeah.
This is our formal
style.
thing.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting down and this thing's like slung over the chair or something and I'm wearing something else. Like these do not, they look good standing up. They look bad sitting down. But I wouldn't say it's to the point where it's distracting. It's interesting to me watching the limited budget of Deep Space Nine and where they will continue to recycle TNG assets because it's cost effective.
Sure.
And how that plays out. So that's the way they look. The way they feel is great. I love the Romulans, and I think this goes down as a great Romulan episode. We've got a cold shoulder right off the bat with Cisco trying to like warm them up. And as you said, Federation's kind of on the back pedal here. They fucked up with the Pegasus. They are lucky they got this cloak for the Defiant. We talked about why they would have gone with the Romulans instead of the Klingons for that cloaking technology, and it's because they need to start repairing this with the Hand of Friendship. And now, oh shit, the fucking Dominion thing's worse than we expected. Like, we need to start getting fucking allies. And especially viewing all this in the scope of the Wolf 359 production, which I want to say right now, as far as the V'ger Please podcast go, I would like to enter that JTV, VFX, whatever, as canon.
I completely agree. I think it's designed to be canon.
You needed the Klingons, and even with the Klingons, it wasn't enough. The Federation has become painfully aware that you need to make friends with old enemies because monsters on the other end of the highway to hell are going to push all of your shit in. So,
and yeah, you're awake now, but being awake isn't enough. You've got to develop new, like we watched Best of Both Worlds as part of that. And it was really instructive because they talked about how they were developing new weapons and new ships, but it was going to take at least 24 months, 2 years before those things were ready. And we're beyond that now. So that shit is getting in place. It's getting ready, but we're still trying to produce it. We're still, building the ships, right? The first Akiras and Steam Runners are, and Sovereign class ships are still a little into the future. Or maybe the Pathfinders are being found out, like the USS Sovereign. Maybe it's in place. Maybe the USS Akira is in place, but you don't have the fleet yet behind it.
And the people, again, you also lost 11,000 people. This is what I want to talk about, Wolf 359, and we might as well talk about it right now. Watching that stuff with you, I was thinking a lot about that episode later into the week, and I don't know if it's a bad look for me or what, but like the amount of time that we're talking about Star Trek and seeing something that is pivotal like Wolf 359, the amount of effort that went into that, all these different angles, like sitting there and talking about this stuff, it's basically the same as talking about World War II or old Roman battles and this and that. Like, I wasn't there. My family wasn't there. To me, it's all just stories. And like, I'm obviously aware it's fiction, but like, you process these thoughts in your head the same, like, man, it would have sucked to be in the fucking trenches in World War One. Man, it would have sucked to like be sitting there watching as Attack Wing Alpha went in to fight the Borg and just gets annihilated and know your ass is going to be next. Like, the level of immersion we're hitting with Star Trek right now, especially in competent hands in the writing room that's handling this stuff correctly with Deep Space Nine, is very potent.
It is. And it's interesting you should bring up, like, I know your expertise in your academic life was in psychology. And I think you hit on something there about we are going to process this information the same way we would a historic event that's also remote. There's no differentiation really to our perspectives between a fictional event and a historical event that happened so far long ago that we don't know no one's alive that was there. And I think that helps the fiction feel deeper and more real than sometimes you're willing to give it credit for, because your brain doesn't really understand the difference between the two. You know it's different, but like the way you process the information on a subconscious level
Chemically is the same way.
chemically is the same, and it speaks to why this stuff hits so hard and people really end up investing in it the way that they do. Because again, this is I'm quoting maybe a cringe moment in real life, but it's real to me. Damn it! Remember that, like that
Galaxy Quest.
That I understand it now. Like yeah, it's still like you don't want to be that guy, but what he's saying isn't wrong, right? Like it is real to in a way it's more real because the Battle of Canaan in the Roman Republic era when Hannibal like wiped out some legions feels less real because it happened so long ago and it's completely inaccessible. I can at least talk to the people that were like involved in the creation of this fictional story. They're all around. They're alive. They talk about it all the time. I can get into their minds. It can feel more real.
There's a whole community sprung up around it with us. So
yeah, podcasts that go on for years for no particular reason.
As I'm sitting there in the shower thinking about like how these ensigns felt, or the greater impact there, it's like, am I just wasting time, or like what else would I be thinking about right now? But it's just such deep penetration into the mind space. It's crazy.
May I reveal something to you and therefore our audience? May I?
Absolutely.
It's a little embarrassing, but I don't care.
That's what we're here for. I just shared something embarrassing.
I have spent an enormous amount of time writing Star Trek fan fiction lately.
Oof.
Listen, something about the discussions we've
been having. Hold on. Whoa. What percentage of these scenes have people fully clothed?
99%.
All right, proceed.
I decided after I was listening back to some of our old episodes, and of course, you remember we did an episode with JK, the guy who did Voyager Season 8. And he was inspired to create something that we really enjoyed, an act of fan fiction that was well produced, because he was driven by the fact he hated what Star Trek had become and decided to make his own with blackjack and hookers, and we applauded that. And I kind of got the same bug. I kind of got the same feeling that he did. And after listening to that, because we was on a long trip to visit my wife's grandmother, and I was like, you know what, maybe I have ideas. I have things, like if I had my druthers, if I was in charge of Star Trek as an IP, what would I make? What would I do? Right? Like if I was JK, I was, I could do this too. And so I've spent a lot of time like sketching this out and writing this out and making this stuff. And, I'm not going to burden the world with details about it because I'm self-aware enough to know no one would care. Not even you. And you do a Star Trek podcast with me. Yeah, I see. Good expression. I'm sorry no one's just saw it. But at the same time, it just speaks to everything you just said about how you get invested in this stuff and you just want to, it's real to you in a way that it's not cringe to say, it's fun. It's a good thing. And it exercises your mind. It allows you to explore thoughts and ideas and themes that ultimately enrich your real life if you let it. So I don't know. That's all.
Writing feels great too, by the way.
It does.
And I've done a lot of writing in some other venues over the past year. Social media and what you've been using words for, just to communicate, burst, tweet, like the small format, whatever. Sitting down in front of a keyboard and really letting creativity go wild.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for yourself, like it feels good and it feels very analog and
grounded, like you're doing something. Even if you're just doing it for yourself, you're still doing it.
Yeah, it's not video games. It's not watching. You're not consuming media. It's an expression of creativity that I absolutely can see why you're doing that. And I look forward to anybody who cajoles this work out of you as you've just exposed it to a bunch of Star Trek.
There's a few hundred people who might eventually, once I feel it's in a state that won't entirely embarrass me, I might allow to see, but that is some point in the future.
Well, I look forward to your work being mercilessly picked apart by a podcast.
Yes, or just other nerds, and then I'll be really mad about it, and then the cycle will continue.
Mm-hmm. It's a cycle of abuse. So speaking of cycle of abuse, the Romulans, they don't want anything to do with this Federation like smile and huggy stuff. They are there for business, and I think that should have kind of been a red flag for Cisco, but at the same time, the Romulans have never been warm in any capacity.
And
These
like
guys
we've been saying, like he's on red alert that he can't fuck this up. So there is nothing he can do except treat them with kid gloves.
These guys have shown up knowing damn well, I think, that they are going to destroy Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Why would you be nice? Why would you do anything? Like, I don't think the Romulans are evil. I don't think there's like a mustache twirl, like, yes, I'm going to eat all of their steak and drink all of their wine, and then I'm going to blow it up. Like, these guys are like,
business.
We're here on business, and these guys are going to die, and we just want to get in and out. There's no diplomatic... Fuck, we might be at war with the Federation after this. Like, give us the info, let us cross our T's and dot our I's, and we're going to get out of here. And I think that's part of why they're as rude and crass as they are. And I'll be very curious to see what vibe the Romulans are carrying in the wake of this episode, because this is a hell of a black eye as they exit.
Oh, yeah. Happy to say that this is not the last we'll have the consequences of this episode. You know, not a surprise, I think, to you at this point that Deep Space Nine is careful in building these things, but you will be richly rewarded.
Romulans come back, or are these all disposable one-shots?
You'll see.
Okay. So, yeah.
You'll see. Meanwhile, there are Klingons here, and that will be important later. It's a freighter. It's not a warship. The uncharacteristic yet characteristic thing we're going to find out about these guys is that they're intelligence agents from the Klingon Empire, which I really like that. Like, that the Klingons are also playing a deep game. They also want to know what the fuck is going on. And they also, you know, don't like the Romulans.
Who just interfered in their civil war. Big time.
Exactly. Gowron's got a fucking bone to pick with these people.
I did not like TNG Klingons. I did like Enterprise Klingons because that told the story about a empire that is falling, a fallen empire. This portrayal of the Klingons, incredibly interesting. These are not dumb Valhalla Rock guys. Intelligence operatives on Deep Space Nine, like that. You've never seen anything like this out of the Klingons before. So once you know they're there, and you've really got this powder keg of things that could go wrong. And Miles O'Brien is going to have front row seats for all of it, specifically his own death. So he has gotten radiation poisoned, and while he is still on duty and not home resting,
he's setting up a dartboard in Quarks.
He starts effectively quantum leaping.
So yeah, he's quantum leaping. And I think in a clever kind of way to do the episode, Quark is a witness to it so that the audience knows it's not like an episode where people are going to doubt that O'Brien is quantum leaping. Like, everyone knows quantum leaping is happening from the beginning.
Voyager did a great job with exposing the crew to nonsense and the other people around them being receptive and taking it at face value in an attempt to disprove it, instead of questioning people with an attempt to try to prove it.
Right.
And that was a big departure, I think, from the way Next Generation felt a lot of the time. And that's happening here. And something else I've noticed with Deep Space Nine is we are taking something that in itself would be the entire plot of a Next Generation episode, and that is just a plot, a component to a larger story here.
Yeah.
This guy's going forward in time, and he might either die or be lost in time or God knows what. And that is not the main focus here. This is just the way that we are going to literally cheat. The only thing that this episode I think is really missing is someone at some point saying, like, is this the prophets? Is this the will of the prophets? Like,
yeah.
What I needed is that the Warbirds quantum singularity is reacting strangely with the wormhole, and that's what's knocking him forward, and that there's some sort of like, because this is such a fucking fluke what happens here.
Oh, of course. And then that the prophets are doing this to defend themselves because they've seen the future and they know that they need to do this. Yeah.
Defend themselves and Bajor and whatever else. Like, the Romulans should be so fucking pissed when they find out, like, the fucking warp drive on our Warbird that was like...
Because you happen to get hit by an IED that gave you radiation poisoning. That's why this is happening?
Ridiculous series of events. What Final Destination shit is going on here?
That's the name of the episode. What in the Final Destination is going on here?
I was going to go for a lost time injury. And that's funny, too, because lost time, like, he's just losing time in the present, leaping forward in the future.
Oh, that's much better. Lost time injury. Yes.
But what in the final destination? That is a industry term moving forward as the prophets intervene and just completely botch things for the bad guys. I love the alacrity with which the crew just quickly goes, "Okay, this sucks for you. And we're gonna like keep trying to heal you, but how can we metagame
use this?
Like, fuck, there's zero breath wasted on. We can't influence the past with the future and the space-time like,
no, fuck that shit. How do we use this?
O'Brien is he's touching himself. We don't have any time cop rules here.
Nope.
He is body swapping himself.
He goes back in time and talks shit with Julian when he fails to save his life. Again, low-key great humor in this episode. It's perfect.
Appears... And I really do think there needs to be some sort of prophet intervention in this too, because him just happening to always appear as he quantum leaps into the right place at the right time. There he is, dead on the stretcher. And Julian just, turns the corner like, "Oh, cool, Chief, you're here." Like, no, like, "Oh my God, it is real." Bashir's 100%
here. You died like 3 hours ago. We're going to cut this close.
Bashir's banking, like, "You will for sure be here. You are my Grubhub. You've come here to bring me some..."
He does quantum leap to whoever he is. It is a consistent thing that keeps happening. They don't talk about it in dialogue, but he keeps showing up wherever he is 5 hours in the future. So like the fact that Julian's like, "Oh, good, finally, you died. Tell me to do this so that I don't so you don't die." And then he spent the rest of the time him like, "How'd you let me die?" Like, "I didn't let you die. You just died." It's not my fault. I tried. It's your fault. Your buster ass body is the one that failed.
They do it with the Dabo joke, but if they wanted to go just an extra inch into humor, had Bashir been like, "Yeah, listen, tell me how to run this again. Also, tell me don't pick up the silver tray. The lip is sharp on it, and I cut my finger pretty bad. I just stubbed my foot. If you can tell me to not put this chair in before I hurt myself."
The Dabo joke is perfect at the end. I mean, it's just such a perfect little bow on the whole thing, especially as he walks by laughing.
So we find out about a plot, and the culmination of the plot is going to be that Deep Space Nine is destroyed. But there's small baby steps along the way. There's listening devices being planted in the wall that shoot O'Brien, which I thought it was very interesting that was installed with a transporter drop.
Yeah, very cool little explanation. Like Odo's big moment in the episode is walking through how he figured this out and then how he determined what it is. And I like his little arrogance of, "Oh, I was, why'd you," he's basically Cisco's like, "Why didn't you just lead with that?" He's like, "Because I had to remind you about how good I am at my job." That's how I drew the conclusion with like a smug smile on his face. Like, I like that. I like that he's arrogant about it.
My favorite Odo moment was like, "Why are you investigating Quark?" "Well, I always investigate Quark."
Quark. You would too.
If you didn't have this
half the crimes on the station are committed by him. Don't you fucking notice?
There's no assumption of innocence here. The guy's permanently guilty. I like that the Romulans, and it was the Romulans, or was it the Klingons? Who would use the replicator to transport the listening device? It had to
be Klingons.
The Klingons did it.
Correct. And that's how Odo gets in touch with the Klingon operative who tells them that that's a technique that they follow, and ultimately that those guys have been sent as operatives for this mission.
Very tricky. And again, this is, if Ron Moore's in this or whoever, people who grew up watching these shows who aren't looking at the transporter as simply a utilitarian thing that gets you out of having to do a shuttlecraft scene. Like, you can do crazy, dangerous shit. You can transport people out into space, as Seska will go on to do. Absolutely deploying listening devices with the transporter and precision engineering, like, really fucking cool. These guys are very, very hyper competent. The stakes are incredibly high here. But unfortunately, O'Brien catches a shot on that. And, we've got some prophecy level vibes going on as Kira's like, "Hey, by the way, I had to change the quarters. And now all of this thing that wasn't relevant before
is relevant.
And these pieces are fitting together."
It is also the first time they changed the future successfully. Like, O'Brien doesn't get shot by it. So it demonstrates okay, this isn't a predestination paradox thing. This is a you can't actually cheat thing, and it just propels the idea.
It's also not a alternate reality thing. This is all our own timeline.
I really, really like how they wrap it up at the end of, okay, let's use it now that we know it's happening. Now we know it's predictive. We know that Singularity is orbiting. It's the only, by the way, it's the only black mark I'll give the episode. I don't know why it is. No one at that point was able to draw the conclusion it's a Romulan warbird.
I write in my fucking
Because they
notes.
know, yeah, they know. Everyone knows that that's how warbird propulsion works.
And who's on the station again? It's Romulans, and there's a rogue quantum singularity that we can't trace as
in a steady elliptical orbit.
Oh,
yeah, and I understand why, because you want to have the reveal at the end, and it is still like consistent in canon. So it's like I'm only putting the slightest mark against it. You want the episode to still happen, but it strains a bit of credibility that like Dax doesn't immediately come to the conclusion like, well, clearly it's a fucking warbird.
Give me the scene where he comes back and he's like, it's a warbird, and it's like, fuck, man, that's a slap.
Of course.
Well, that's why I'm working on a gas station and not a fucking Galaxy class, I guess. Jeez.
Yeah.
Bad look. Yeah, so they, I think that's the first time we see on screen Deep Space Nine actually get destroyed, right?
Correct. One of the few. I think it might be the only time.
You see the runabouts fleeing as they're trying to evacuate everybody off, and it blows up and then collapses the wormhole too. That's a hell of a thing to witness there in a potential future. High motivation to go back in time and fix this thing. So through the power of plot shenanigans, the Federation is able to thwart this awful Romulan plan to destroy Deep Space Nine, to plug up the hole.
Well, we were underselling something. The O'Brien that goes back in time dies, and then the O'Brien who is already in the future goes back in time. So we have a bit of Harry Kim-esque displacement from this point forward, that the Miles O'Brien we know is not the Miles O'Brien we technically started with, kind of.
So the Miles O'Brien that we have is technically 5 hours older than everybody else around him.
Correct.
Does he have any lost time in this?
No, I don't think so.
And that's, again, time travel episodes are awful. I really like that they specifically call out like, hey, other rules aren't applying here. Why? And it's just the answer they give is, I hate temporal conundrums.
It's good. We all do.
It's just like, well, if you're doing this now, why don't I know about it? And they're just like, fuck it, man. Just, this is a story where we're cheating. We're reading the fucking Prima strategy guide. We're going to save this bitch. We've got the fact.
According to this, he's got a weakness to fire, so just go with it.
How do you know? Well, I downloaded this game guide off the internet. Look at this sweet ASCII art on the front. Cool, we're going with that one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's legit. Someone tried.
There is good parts in this where the Romulans are interrogating everybody who was involved in Dominion conflicts, and it's a nice entry into the Kira Nerys Odo love situation.
Yes, like that the Romulans have figured it out before she has. Like, call it straight out. Like, clearly they thought that he might be interested in you because they didn't capture you. They captured everybody else. They specifically didn't do it to you. Don't you wonder why that is? And she's like, oh, this is bullshit. And he goes like, can you believe this shit? And Odo's like, yeah, that's so crazy.
She storms off.
That's definitely not how I feel about things. Jeez.
She storms off, and Commander Martok goes to Subcommander Briel. He's like, does she really not realize that this dude loves her yet? And they're like, listen, did you hear them over there talking about the phantom quantum singularity in an orbit? Like, we're not dealing with fucking the brain trust over here.
This isn't Picard. This isn't Riker. These guys are not what Tomalak is used to. That's all he's got data on.
I'm telling you, you take away the robot and the Federation, they're not very smart.
He comes back, tell like, hey, it's a warbird. Put the shields up, and we got this thing solved. And Cisco comes in and is like, hey, we know you were going to destroy the station. You were going to destroy the wormhole. You're going to do it. You're cloaked warbird. And I can't afford anyone to know that, so you're just going to fucking leave. Because I still have to maintain our alliance. So go away. They're like, yeah, okay, fair. I guess, you got us. I guess we're out of here.
So what's the implication of that? Is he not reporting this to Starfleet?
I imagine he does, but is like, it's classified. Like, okay, like they showed up, they're going to try to blow up. Like, you should be aware of
So
this.
he's
but
not arresting them.
No, he's not blowing it up. Like I'm not going to blow up our treaty. We're going to act like this didn't fucking happen.
Strong value in what has happened here. And like I said before, the Federation had been on the back pedal because of the Pegasus incident. And the Romulan had been the strong part of this relationship. And now they've just got busted doing the most Romulan shit possible, which is lurking in the shadows, ready to fucking stab you in the back. And it got outed. And now we've got potent, not blackmail, but we've got probable cause for war over you. Like,
it's kind of paid back though, right? Like, I guess like we did dirty on the Pegasus thing. You did dirty here. All right, it's a wash now. Like
equal footing. Now we're going to be partners in this. And just a great reinforcement of what and who the Romulans are, and really great new spit shine on the Klingons as, hey, we're more than just kick down the door and scream and batleth things. Like, we are sneaky, we are hyper competent, we see what's going on here, we want more involvement. And Deep Space Nine continues to be this great crossroads of everybody's problems coming together and becoming Ben Sisko's problems.
Well, I think that wraps up this discussion, this episode. I think there you said, like, this is a solid piece of the Deep Space Nine puzzle. It is a load-bearing device, a strong piece of the lattice that is being built, and a secret contender for one of the better episodes of the season. What are we doing next week?
Season 3, episode 18. Again, crazy this is all just season 3, man.
I know. We're not even to the good part yet. Distant Voices.
I see Bashir, and he looks very old, and it looks like it's pretty good makeup. And then there's a snapping turtle man. After an alien assault leaves Bashir unconscious, he is trapped inside of his mind. I don't like these episodes.
It's Emmy Award winning because of the makeup.
Oh,
so but it's your necessary. We gotta we gotta give Bashir an episode. We gotta spread this love around. We can't keep going back and doing Dax episodes. We gotta make sure everyone gets some character development. So we're gonna. I like
his character development, giving Kai Wynn a hard time. Can't he beam down to the surface and go bust her balls?
What important galactic figure can Julian Bashir mog next? Can he just go to beam down to Kronos and talk to Gowron about how much he sucks? Like, what's next for our boy?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much for listening to V'ger. Please, if you haven't, please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're close at the time of this recording to 500 subscribers, which is a threshold that matters to the algorithm. So if you haven't, even if you don't consume us on YouTube, go give it a subscription. We would appreciate getting to that threshold because it would help keep the show getting pushed out into the universe. And thanks to everybody that has found it on YouTube recently. Lots of people like to comment on our old episodes. I read them all, as you can probably tell from the folks that are doing the comments. I reply or like everything that you guys are doing, and that helps as well. So we really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.